Oh, awesome. No sound. That's always a good plus. That's a good start. Sorry about that, guys. Um, like I was saying, thank you guys for coming in. Mr. Stewart Zagnit is running a little late. I don't know what's going on. I sent him the link, but we're just gonna have to wait for him. But for now, we can hang out and chat. We can talk about what's going on, what you guys want to talk about. I already see Retro Pokemon Gaming already asked some questions. Those are some questions I had for my as well. But if you guys want to ask him some questions when he gets here, I have no problem with that. He already said he doesn't have any problem with that. We're hoping there's no miscommunication with it. We did say 5:30 his time, which is right now for us. So hopefully there's no issues. Uh, well, let's chat a little bit. What's on your guys' mind? And all that fun stuff. No sound. Hey, look, Mr. Mime. Yeah, it happens. I was waiting with my mic off, and I forgot to turn it on before starting the stream, because I'm a professional. What's up, Retro? Hey, everyone's saying hello to everybody. We got Team Pockets, Retro Gaming, and Get you. I need to get you on here one day. Team Pockets, though. He is going to be the guest, the next guest on the community conversation. It's going to be a special day. It is going to be on a Thursday. This Thursday coming up, actually. Same time, though, 5:30 p.m. PST, if you guys want to come in on that and hang out with Pocket. He is a very, like, everyone has his eyes on this kid, on this, no, I don't want to say kid. Everyone's younger than me. He's a kid, though. Everyone has his eye on this up-and-coming Pokemon YouTuber. Um, Give me 1 second. It looks like I might need to resend the link. Hopefully this link works. It should work. I've never had any issues with it before. But yes, everyone has their eyes on Team Pocket right now. His very first video was, well, his first official video, not a short, popped off extremely well. The editing, the storytelling, it is very, very good. He did a cooking video with not with Pokemon cards, but as an effect of it. Really good video. Can't wait to have him on. Can't wait to see what else is in store for his channel. Um, but I'm not the only ones who has eyes on him. Deep Pocket Monster, Jay does. I believe Ian with Ian does. Who else has his eyes on Team Pocket? He might be gone already, but I'm really excited for Team Pocket to come on. Um, Sorry about that. Um, yeah, so he's out with family right now. That's all I know. That's why we couldn't make it for today. After this stream, make another one. Get you. I hope to have you on one day. Same thing, Retro Pokemon. That would be awesome to have you on. I would like a lot of people on. If I could continue doing the voice actors coming on, though, that would be awesome. There's so many voice actors I would like on. Of course, both voice actors of Ash would be a great one. No, Professor. No, he is not here yet. I had to resend the link to him just now. Hopefully he gets it. I copied and pasted the email straight from. I'm shy. So hopefully he gets in. Ooh, get you. That's his. Yeah, get you. I hope to have you on one day, one on one. Ian's already been on one on one. Great. Ian's a great interviewee, great person. He will even ask the chat to tip his channel on someone else's channel. He did it all in good fun, though. He wasn't actually trying to get money off of the chat or anything like that. He's good people. Yeah. Ian, speaking of good people, how's your new cat Margarita? I want to know if you're gonna open up a bar and get some other Pokemon in there. Not Pokemon, animals. Maybe name some rum and coke. 4 wise men. Adorable. While we're waiting on them, let's open up some cards. I have a booster bundle of Paldea Evolved. We'll open up that while we're waiting. Hopefully I don't need to resend again. Oh, this one's already kind of open. That worries me. Come on. You don't want to focus? No focus? No focus? He says he sees it. Let me... Okay. I'm going to see if it will work from... Oh, there he is.
Wow.
Sorry about that. That was a lot of issues going on. But we have the chat ready for you, Mr. Zagnit. But for the people who do not know who you are, let's do a quick introduction. Everybody, this is one of my biggest fanboy moments at the moment. My childhood is almost complete because we have the one and only Professor Oak, Mr. STUART ZAGNIT, in the chat with us. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
It's a weird feeling right now. I have to thank Retro Pokemon Gaming for setting this interview up. Thank you, Retro. And he had some questions in the chat we had while we were waiting and trying to figure things out. Chat was asking getting ready for questions for you. And his were the very same as mine. What was your introduction to Pokemon? Was it for the anime doing the voices, or how did your journey with this franchise begin?
Well, my journey starts probably before any of you were aware of it.
Yeah.
Back in probably 1998. That's probably, I think 98 is probably when the auditions happened. So historically, if we go backwards, there was no anime shows in America. You know, there was Astro Boy, and there was a few other ones, but not anything like Pokemon. And I was not aware. I just was a freelance actor who was looking for work, and an old friend of mine who knew the original producer of the show said, my buddy's putting together this new, I don't know whether he called it anime or cartoon or whatever. He said, but they're looking for voice. So he said, give them a call and they'll set up an audition. And so I did that. I called him, and he I'm on both. I'm on my iPad and I'm here on my phone. So you're seeing me.
Yes.
So he set up an audition, and I went in, did about 4 or 5 different characters. They just showed me what the characters looked like. They didn't play any of the dialogue because the original dialogue was all in Japanese. So I wouldn't have understood what they were saying anyway. So I just read the English script, and I don't remember, all the characters I read for, but one of them was this eccentric professor character. And then I got a call about 2 weeks later, and they said, we'd like you to do this character. So I said, great. So I went in and started doing sessions, and they'd always play my audition tape back, so I'd remember whatever it was I was doing when I auditioned.
Right.
And that's how we started. So, and during the first season, I didn't think anything more of it than, well, this is a new kind of, cartoon show that was and I'm happy to be doing it. It was a while later that we realized how big Pokemon was and how big it had gotten once it really established itself here.
Right. Was there any points where you did more voices than just Professor Oak on the series?
Oak was my main character.
Mm-hmm.
I did like a small, like Koga with another character, but he wasn't like, this was not a character that went over many seasons. You know, this is a
Right.
much shorter thing. And sometimes they'd use me in crowd noises and stuff, but very little. Mostly they. I like. I um, so that was nice.
What is your most memorable line that you remember doing the most, or one that you had the most fun doing?
Well, I think it was the first movie. Uh, Towards the end of the movie, we're rushing to get to Ash, and I think I hop out of a jeep if I'm not mistaken, and
Mhm.
as I do it, I like such back, and the line that was written was okay, but it wasn't. I thought it had potential. So at in the session, I said to the director, I said, "Can I try this?" And so the line I wrote with was, "Ooh, my," uh, and lump like a very funny ailment, which is a real
Mhm.
ailment that
Yes.
not used very much, and
Was um I'm sorry, I think my headphones are messing up. As Okay, we have another question from the chat. Lux is asking, "What was your favorite, or is your favorite Pokemon?"
hmm, that's a that's a I always say all my books like,
Mhm.
but I might have one favorite. Uh, oh,
That
oh, yeah, I have to say, yeah.
Was there any Pokemon that you voiced for the anime at any point?
I never voiced a Pokemon. No, they definitely kept
Mhm.
bringing. I never had the honor of actually.
Okay, if you were able to voice a Pokemon, which one would it be?
Oh, probably one of the silly ones like Psyduck or Jigglypuff or Snorlax
That
or
that would be an interesting one, Snorlax or Jigglypuff. Uh, so we have another one from Eddie Bronx KY. Did
Mhm.
you voice anything on Dinosaur King? I know a lot of Pokemon voice actors did.
um I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I auditioned for it, and I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure they didn't cast me. So no, I would have loved to. I think that was one of those series where I said, okay, that would be a nice change of pace,
Yeah.
thing different. But no, I didn't get to do that.
Was there any when you guys did do your voice acting? Because I know most voice actors do it by themselves in a booth. At I'd imagine that was the same for the Pokemon anime in the very beginning. Is there at any point did they do the method of like doing a small table read but recording everyone that way, or do you prefer that way?
Pokemon was never done in a group, so we didn't do read throughs as far as I remember. They would just up and say we have a new season, and I wouldn't read the scripts in advance. I'd
Mm.
have my appointment time. They'd give me a quick overview of the episode, and we would just start recording. The one time that I did do a recording in a group was for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I played a
Yeah.
guest villain called Dr. Dome, and that was the first time we were in a big room with like six mics set up,
Mhm.
and we actually did them. We did them in sequence, and that was a whole nother energy because, like I say, Pokemon was always done a single person at a time. So,
Yeah.
so that was kind of fun and different to do. So I had time with that.
Which season of TMNT was that?
Oh, that's a tough one. Uh, Somebody
Was,
might remember Doctor Dome. Um,
was it one of the Nickelodeon seasons?
no, when it was still at Four Kids.
Okay, I think I know which season it is, but
Yeah.
when I was at it, I think I was maybe 14, 15, like, oh, I'm too old for cartoons kind of thing, but I secretly watched and watched Pokemon and collected the cards still.
Ah.
Cuz I've never fallen out of this hobby, out of this franchise. I've been in it since I was 10 years old, when the first thing I learned about Pokemon was on the school field, and one of the kids watched it in the morning before going to school and told us all about it. Then I was
Oh.
like, that sounds really interesting. I want to watch it. And my first episode was a rerun of the first episode on right before school. And that was it. It hooked me. Um, I remember I have the first season on DVD. My son is now 7 and he watches it. So
Excellent.
it's how many and I'm sure you hear this a lot because this franchise is over 25 years old at this point, because I'm in my mid 30s. I'm growing
Right.
up. I'm growing with my children. I'm still playing the game, still collecting the cards. Now my son is there any time where kids, like very young kids, come up to you and go, "Oh my god, you are Professor Oak," or is it still just like creepy old men like me in retro, like, "Oh, Professor Oak"?
It's kind of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Many people, when I do personal appearances at various cons around the country, um, often someone will come up and they'll be with their kids, and he says they'll say to me, I watched the original series when I was young, and now
Mm-hmm.
we're watching all the episodes now on Netflix with my kids." And I actually think the parents are bigger. They kind of geek out more than the kids.
The kids, yeah.
The little kids are a little more subdued.
Mm.
The older fans, their parents, they have a lot of history with it. So
Mhm.
I think they're in touch with the emotional impact of the show. The,
Yes.
the little kids are just experiencing now for the first time. I don't think they have as much invested, but their parents certainly do.
Yes. Um,
So I always say I meet people and everybody turns into a 10-year-old. So
you're not wrong.
it's kind of a sweet thing when that happens, and
Mm.
I'm very grateful for that, and I try to respect their geeking out and just just let it happen, you know.
We have another question from Harsh in the chat. He says, "Is your personality like Professor Oak? Are you a bit different in real life?"
um we're similar. Like him, I think I have a pretty refined sense of humor, and I
Mhm.
like to find the absurd in life. I think Professor Oak does the same thing. That he's very serious about his work, but he always has enough time to laugh at something, which
Right.
which I think I really relate to. So, and as I've gotten older, I think I've gotten more like him. So we
Correct.
definitely have a cosmic connection there.
Do, when was the news that you were going to be recasted? Was it during the buyout after Four Kids lost the contract, or
It
how did that happen?
well the when Four Kids lost the contract,
Mm.
we were all fully expecting to either continue that
Mm.
we would be either released from our contractual obligation to Four Kids, and when we found out that that wasn't going to happen, Um, I'll be honest, it was a very painful experience because all we were doing was as good a work as we were ever capable of doing, and we were very proud of the product we did. And to just be, said, be told, "Oh, thanks a lot, and we're replacing you all, and have a good life."
Hmm.
That was a little harsh, and I think it took a few years to sort of make peace with that. And for me now, making personal appearances is a great validation of the work that we did. So, uh,
Right.
I've gone as far away as United Kingdom. I'm sure I'll be doing more traveling. I've traveled all over the country now, as far as California and down
Hmm.
south, and the reaction is the same wherever I go. And the fans love the show, love the characters, and are really connected to our all the original voice actors. So it's a great gift, and I'm very grateful that that's the way it's happened.
I feel that the reason why people fall or feel that you are the people's Professor Oak is the best way I can explain it, is because not only were you the first one, you were the Professor Oak for many years, and then they started going to different regions, and Professor Oak just wasn't there as much.
Right.
So he started becoming a more of a side character than normal. So when people think Professor Oak, when people ask me about it, the first thing I think of is your voice talking about how Pikachu's volatile, talking on the phone with Krabby, getting attacked by the Pokemon that Ash had to bring over. I think that's what people think of when they think of Professor Oak. They think of your version of Professor Oak. So that's probably why even today there's so many people we have. I know there's not a lot for how small this channel is, but all the people in the chat are extremely happy to see you, and there's very like, oh my god, Professor Oak, this is such a trip down memory lane, is the newest comment by Robert. And I don't speak for everybody, but I'm sure that's what the most people would generally feel, is you are the Professor Oak because you are the first one. You're the one that most of us, especially of my age, would remember.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate hearing that, and thank you. And it's it's nice to be always connected with that. And I would say the formative years of Pokemon really I was
Mhm.
a big part of. And
Absolutely.
and it's really nice to know that people are rediscovering it. And so that connection continues. And it's a lovely thing.
Mhm. Yeah, we have people saying in the chat, literally my childhood. So great to have you on this channel. Yes, bring back the old memories. 100% the Professor Oak.
uh,
So people do love you. They're not for no one's going to forget anytime soon. But we do have another question from the chat, another one from Harsh, and it's asking, which is your favorite generation in Pokemon? I would assume it's the first one for obvious reasons. You came an attachment to it, but is there any Pokemon generations that you followed after your work or with grandchildren or children?
Well, as a Pokemon scientist, work is never done. So I'm always investigating. But I will say that my connection to the original generation is probably the strongest that I have had.
Mhm.
So I would have to say yes. They are the ones that I connect with, and they have great personalities too. They're very resilient for older Pokemon.
Yes, yes. Do you collect any? Do you have any memorabilia from your time as Professor Oak that you took either from the movie sets or the movie premieres for the first movie, or just you're like, you know what, this is mine now. I'm leaving. Bye.
Um, Actually, there was very little swag that was given out that
At that time.
I recall. I do have a CD of our Pokemon Christmas Bash, which was a CD we did
Mhm.
around the third or fourth season, and it's
Mhm.
it's really a fun CD. If you see it anywhere, I have a great number with Ash called "I'm Giving Santa a Pikachu This Christmas."
So speaking of that particular song, because I was going to bring it up, I am a huge Christmas music fan. I love Christmas. Doesn't matter what time of the year, especially around this time because it's so hot and I hate it. But it's the perks of living in Southern California. But my son, he also is a big fan of Christmas. So during Christmas, we'll listen to it. And during the Spotify Christmas playlist, that one came on, and he was like, "Oh, this is our song." I'm like, "Okay, calm down." But I did have to download it from Spotify, and he loves that song to death. It's because it's Pokemon, which he knows I love, so he's falling in love with it. Then it's Christmas, which every child loves, so it's just two things mixing together.
Sure.
There's no sets for cartoons. Ian, I know that. It's just sometimes they have offices and parties and the movies that they've all had. But yes, my son does love that song.
Yes. I mean, we did have occasional get-togethers, which was very nice. And, usually it was at the office. Sometimes it was at a restaurant, and that was always great. My son, of course, was a Pokemon fan, so this is one that he no longer plays with. So I'm very happy to have sort of reclaimed.
That is awesome. Is that his actual stuffed animal or stuffed Bulbasaur?
This probably was about 1999, 2000. Yeah.
Wow. So, wow.
Zipper thing on the bottom, but I thought one of them I have. Oh, I'll show you another one. I have to get up and relocate for a moment here.
Not a problem.
This is really, where is he? Oh, there he is. Okay. So this one, this is a real antique, I guess. This is a little stuffed Pikachu.
Oh, I used to have one of those. It has the zipper on the backside. Yeah.
And he becomes a Pokeball.
Yeah.
So,
I remember chucking those at my sister's when I was a kid. You zip them up in the ball and you throw them as hard as you can at your siblings.
Right. So I was very happy to sort of reclaim him. Mm-hmm. And then I have a collection of over here. I'll see if I can bring the camera over here. I just started collecting. Let's see. Can you see them?
The stacks of Pikachu. Yes.
Yes.
I had a few of those when I was a kid. Obviously, pets and animals, and then moving throughout the years.
This one here was from a Happy Meal. the one in the middle.
I remember the one with the white face.
He had gotten run over by a car and was a little misshapen. I was able to sort of reclaim him and give him a little
love. Speaking of giving a little love to things, we have more people in the chat saying thank you. From Deep Pocket Monster says, "Thanks for what you've done as part of the Pokemon community and history, Stuart." People are saying it's the same as always. Let's get some. They're talking about the Pikachus, that you're their professor, Ian, your best friend. And then I did see a question. Let me roll up a little bit. Luxury Ball Guy, or he's now known as Lux, he's asking the question, do you have any Pokemon cards?
I have a few. Some I inherited from my son. Mm-hmm. Some I have picked up on the various cons. I honestly don't collect them and keep them in a book or anything. Mm-hmm. But I do have some in my possession. So
another question was, who was it from? I don't want to be rude to them. From B-Pop, where did you record when you were doing the Pokemon anime?
They were all done in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. The first studios that we did were around 26th or 27th Street off of 6th Avenue. And then 4Kids, their studios were on 23rd Street, just east of 6th Avenue. So between 5th and 6th on an upper floor. I forget what floor it was, might have been the 10th. They had a whole floor of this office building. Yes. And so they were all done there. And that's what we did, for the length of time that I was there. Afterwards, then when Duart did them, they had offices, studios in the mid 50s between Broadway and 8th. So when I did, I came back one season as Professor Cedric Juniper, which was an Oak-like professor, but he wasn't as eccentric or didn't have the sense of humor. But they had me come back and do that character. That was the last season I ever worked on Pokemon.
Yes, I do kind of remember that character. He was not as eccentric for sure.
No, they didn't write him with the same kind of personality. So no. I did what I could, but there wasn't that much to work with.
Before I go back to the chat questions, I have one question that I'm actually kind of interested in. Has there ever been a moment where you and the Japanese Professor Oaks ever met up and not shared lines, but just ever met any of the Japanese voice casts at all?
Never met a single one. I assume they must have come to the States, but in the almost a decade that I did it, I never met any of the original Japanese actors. No.
And you never been to Japan to do any promotional work for them either?
I never went. While I was still involved with it, my family and I, my wife and son and I, went to Japan and had a wonderful vacation there. I did not go to the Pokemon studios there, wherever they might have been doing it. I did go to the Nintendo store looking for my Professor Oak action figure and was sorely disappointed because the only action figure that I saw was about maybe an inch or two high, and I said, that's not good enough. So I thought for sure I was going to get my action figure there in Japan, but
no, unfortunately I think at that point you're going to have to stick to Amazon and eBay and just hope you get a fair price.
Yeah, well, I'm also hoping maybe a fan with a 3D printer will come up with something original.
Okay.
I'd be very interested in that.
One of my moderators has a 3D printer. Actually, two of them do. I'm gonna talk to both of them and see what I can do for you.
Awesome.
Hopefully, yeah, they're not gonna. They don't have a super complicated one where they can, but we'll see what we can do. But that, I think we can get something for you, Mr. Stewart. And now back to the chat questions. One from Josh Flynn.
Okay.
Will you be in the new anime, or would you hope if they did ask you to be Professor Oak or a new character, would you ever do a voice for Pokemon again?
I would be more than happy to participate. All I need is an invitation. So yes, yes. If asked, I would be very interested. So far, they have yet to really reach out to any of us, which is a little strange. I mean, obviously we worked for them in good faith, and I think we turned out a very, very successful product. So
I would say so. Yeah.
But so far, my phone has not been ringing. But not to say that it might not happen. So
right. And Robert Averos asked, or mostly statement, you need to do a tour, if any. Doing so, if you aren't doing so already, Comic Cons, etc. I'm assuming you do some cons because I do follow you on Instagram. You have done cons in the past. Is there any cons that you would like to do or like to attend in the future?
Well, just putting it out there to the universe. I mean, I would love to do San Diego because it's a huge one. I've been to SAC Anime in Sacramento. That was fun. And I did that with 6 other original voice actors, and we had the best reunion. That was really fun. I live in the New York area, and I would love to do the New York Comic Con. And so far,
Yes.
I have not, but that's not to say that I won't. So,
I'm
um,
I'm going to clip that San Diego statement because I live in San Diego and there's a local shop that I go to all the time, TC Rockets, and they do their own con for a weekend, and they recently just had about 10 Power Rangers for their con. The voice actor of Young Hercules, some of the Sailor Moon voice actors. So I know for sure if we let them know that Professor Oak would like to come to San Diego, they'll be more than happy to send an invite. And if that happens, I can't wait. I'll buy my ticket right now.
well,
Yeah, where people in the chat are saying New York, let's go.
I love the West Coast. I've actually done, I do a lot of theater acting,
Mm.
and I've done theater in Costa Mesa and Los Angeles and San Francisco, and all up the coast, to as far as Portland and Vancouver. So I mean, I've been up and down the West Coast. I toured with Wicked. I was the wizard in
Mhm.
Wicked.
Oh, that was it when they were on Broadway or off Broadway?
This is the national tour was happening
Oh, it
simultaneously.
was a tour. Okay.
Tour, yeah.
Yeah. My
I,
wife would love to see Wicked, but the prices at the time were so expensive.
yeah, I think there's a lot more opportunities now for
Mhm.
a reasonable. I know what you mean, um, and but it's a great show. I loved doing the Wizard. It was really a really great fun to do, and uh, I will always do theater. So that's been a constant in my life, and I've done a lot of Broadway shows. People probably know Newsies. I was in the original
Yes.
cast on Broadway, and
Mhm.
that was a 2.5 year run. So that was probably the longest run I've done of any show. Um, and also people know Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, we just got done watching that on HBO Max.
So the history of the original Little Shop of Horrors
Mhm.
ran Broadway from 1982 to 1987, and I was the last Seymour in the original production of Little Shop of Horrors, and then 34 years later, I came back and played Mushnik in the revival
Wow.
right now off Broadway. So
That that statement's going to blow my friend's mind because she loves My Little Shop of Horrors. Anytime she goes to the casino, she's playing that slot machine.
right, uh, as
It's
we're
not the
talking,
same one you were in, but she'll get a really awesome kick out of that.
right, and just to show you what I look like. This is me with the dentist in. See if I can get the reflection off.
Uh, that photo is on your Instagram. If you guys want to check out his Instagram, that photo is there. Yes,
That's my phone. Yeah, that's
yeah,
me.
you played Seymour. Yeah. Thank you everybody for stopping in again. Everyone in the chat is saying thank you.
Oh, sure.
Amazing part of their childhood. Love it. People are chanting "Feed me, Seymour." It's what was that like when you were on it? That doing the for Seymour as a that long ago? Because I know the animatronics and the way they have to do things are hugely different.
Well, yeah, because there were actually human beings inside the puppet manipulating it, um,
Oh.
and it was like living inside a giant puppet because and they need to
Mhm.
be physically strong to be able to lift the mouth up. It really was quite a contraption. And and Seymour dives in to kill the plant at the end, and then of course
Yes.
he gets eaten. um it was so unusual, and it was so much fun because it it was great music with a wonderfully absurd story that just got darker and darker and darker, but it never
Yes.
stopped being funny, even though it was dark. Was very there was great laughs in it. So
I would definitely say that's one of the, I would say, cinema or even Broadway's versions of comedy horror. I would say that is the innovator of the comedy horror.
And you realize that was the show that put Howard Ashman and Alan Menken on and started their incredible careers. Sadly, Howard Ashman did not live that much longer, but he did live long enough to do Beauty and the Beast for Disney, Little Mermaid, and he started work on Aladdin before he passed away. And Alan has worked continuously, and he also was the composer of Newsies. So to be part of Little Shop at first and now Newsies, I've had a really nice history with him through the years, and it's, you know, sometimes I say I feel very blessed because I've done some really great shows. Being connected with Pokemon has been a great part of my life, and last season I was on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, so you know I do guest spots on television too. So you never know where I'm going to turn up.
So it's like instead of playing Where's Waldo, it's Where's Professor Oak.
That's right.
We have another question from the chat. What was the thing you liked the most in your job? I don't know if he's referring to just Pokemon or your stage acting. I would say let's broaden it out to just your acting career in general. What was the thing you liked the most?
I like challenges. I mean, my favorite shows, of course, Little Shop, and getting to play Seymour and then play Mr. Mushnick. A Fiddler on the Roof, I actually did a production of that and played Tevye, which was an amazing experience. I did the musical version of The Producers and got to play Max Bialystock, which was great fun. That's, you know, these shows, I would say, like Little Shop was so physical when I did Seymour. I literally had to change clothes down to my underwear because I was soaked after the first act. So at intermission, I just had to change everything to do the second act. But to me, that's exhilarating. You know, it's like I never complain about that. It's hard work, but in 2 hours, you know, you get your life back and you go back and go back to your business. So for that amount of time, I throw myself into it, and I've had some really great experiences with some great people. I did a show on Broadway that didn't last that long, but it had Eartha Kitt, Toni Collette, and Mandy Patinkin were all in the show with me, and it was live theater is very exciting. I think it's exciting for the audience, but it's also exciting for the cast, and knowing you come to work every day, and it's like a really good sports team, and you all know your job, and you get on stage and you do your job, and you know some nights you feel like you totally hit a home run and knock it out of the park, and you know it's always a little different every night, but it's something you always strive for. So
yes. We have one question in the chat that I'm sure a lot of people want to know, but we had someone who finally asked it by Henri Sparse. The mystery can finally be solved. Mr. Zagnit, would you say Professor Oak and Ash's mom are a legit couple in Pokemon?
Well, you know, I've been asked that question many, many times. And I always say, when I'm asked that question, I always say that Mrs. Ketchum and I are very, 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 very
good answer. I don't mind that answer at all.
You can take from that whatever you wish.
What you will. Because they, even in the anime, they never officially said if his father's gone, who his father is, if his father's passed on, or just on his own travels. I think that was a missed opportunity for that Ash Ketchum storyline to end by us not knowing who his father is. But at the same time, That's a normal thing. If especially for that long, they're not going to answer that question for us.
And 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 I also say that I'm very proud of Ash, and I think of him just like as if he was my own son,
Or your own grandson.
or my yes, or my
Yes.
own great grandson. Yes.
Yes. Um, is there anything that we can look forward to with your work? Either back on TV, on stage, voice acting. Is there anything coming up that we can look forward to?
Well, the thing about being a freelance actor like I am is I from week to week or month to month, I don't always know what will come down
Mm,
the pike, as we say. And I have agents that submit me for jobs. So as of right now, I don't have anything formally that I've been contracted to do.
mhm.
But in a week or two or a month or two, I might have a different answer for you. So
Right.
um, if you remember my name, keep looking for me because I do turn up on television. I do live theater. I have been known to do some national tours. I'm doing less of that just simply because life on the road can be a little grueling, and living out of a suitcase and going from city to city. I
Right.
like working from home. That gives me a lot of comfort and pleasure. So.
That's not Robert De Niro. No, John Parker, it is not. Robert De Niro cannot do the work this man has done for our childhood. Um,
You're talking to
no,
me? You're
no,
talking to
no,
me?
but he can do Robert De Niro's work. So
What do
Taxi
you
Driver is, yeah.
Yeah,
I saw
I'm
Taxi
looking.
Driver when I should not have.
He's great up. I've seen him recently, and I
Yeah,
said, well, maybe,
yeah,
maybe, could be.
yes. I dropped your Instagram in the chat, so everyone please go follow him, uh, like his stuff. That's follow him, see what he's catching up on. You have been posting a lot of stories lately of the stage shows you're going to as a viewer. Is there any newer plays that aren't on Broadway yet that you think should be on Broadway?
Oh, that's a good question. I not sure I know the answer to that. There is the show that just won Best Musical
Hmm.
here called Kimberly Akimbo is pretty brilliant in so many ways, and what I love about it also, um, it it's very heartfelt, but it also can be absurdly comic at the same time. So if you like a show that makes you laugh, then it makes you think, and then it makes you feel something. It's really just an amazing show. I also had a great time at Anne Juliet, which is kind of a revisiting of the story of Romeo and Juliet and what happens
Hmm.
if the ending is not the ending we know. What happens if something changes? And it's really well done. It's also very smart. Um, this is a good season for musicals, and Some Like It Hot. The new version
Hmm.
of Some Like It Hot, the musical, is great. Um, of course, the revival Little Shop is still running off Broadway. I'm not
Yes.
currently in it, but it's running and it's very, very good. And it really evokes the original production. So that's a good thing to watch. Um, the the musical version of the movie Back to the Future is just
There's a
starting
musical for that.
very soon. And I think, I could be Doc. I could do that.
That would be amazing. I would love to see you and Doc in a musical of Back to the Future. I didn't know they were making a musical of it. That just blew my whole mind. Now I have to see it.
it it already ran in London, and it's getting ready to open on Broadway in another, I think, in a few weeks. It's starting to preview. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. One last. I just asked, and if chat has any last minute questions for you.
sure.
Everyone is just saying thank you for your time. Thank you for chatting with your fans. Thank you, Professor Oak. So I guess my statement is true. You are the people's Professor Oak. My last question before we end it is, if you could play any other character, have it be a Pokemon, a younger character, a different gym leader, besides Professor Oak, who would you like to play, or who do you think you could have played differently besides Koga, these one-off, like the one-off characters?
Well, it would have been fun to try my hand at a character like maybe James, or I think Eric was a perfect Brock, so
Yes.
I don't think I could have improved on that. And then I actually did, when they were looking for replacements. I actually did audition for Meowth, but they wound up not
Wow.
giving it to me. But I could have done that. I don't know.
So that would, if you were Meowth, that would have been insane. That would have blew a lot of people's mind that you went from Professor Oak to Meowth. Was there at any moment during that process of transition that you, because I'm sure they at least allowed you to audition for Professor Oak again? Well, I would hope so. If not, I think that would be the most disrespectful thing I could think of. Have you
back to it?
Yes.
Well, I don't think they can do much better, but you've tried the rest. Now try the best. So
that's right. That's right. So we do have two more last minute questions. One is, sure. I had a question many times. Voice actors are not given enough attention. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree with that as well.
When I do personal appearances, the reaction people get, because suddenly they see a person, a human being behind the character, it changes their whole attitude. And that was fascinating to me, and that happens a lot. So there you go. So yes, I think we're underappreciated, but the fact that people have remembered us and are here listening says that's validation. So I will take that, and I appreciate that.
And Get You, he's asking, what is Professor Oak's most proud moment from Ash?
Well, I think Ash needed a lot of straightening out, and I think Ash becoming a real bona fide Pokemon trainer and master is my personal makes me feel personally proud. So I invested a lot. It could have gone many different ways, but Ash turned the corner and really took it seriously. So
we have one question from John Parker. Do you have any more social medias that they can look out for?
Instagram. I do post things on Facebook, but they usually happen on both. That's probably the best two places to find me.
Okay. And then
I don't do Twitter that much because it's too depressing.
I don't have the Bluebird app at all for that same reason.
Neither do I.
And the very last thing from Robert Everell, he would like you to do one final Professor Oak impression for us.
Okay. Anything in particular, or just my
your favorite line that you can think of off the top of the head that you use?
Well, let me just say, as we're ending this, always be sure not to ride your bike indoors, and always, if you're going to tall grass, never go without a Pokemon. That's very important. Okay.
I love that you use the game references and nothing from the anime. That is amazing. Thank you, Mr. Zagnit, for your time. This was a complete honor. And again, you are the people's Professor Oak. The chat is saying thank you. Great interview. Great guest. Amazing memories. Thank you again so much.
Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget that is Stuart Zagnit, the people's Professor Oak. My name is Gonzo, and please don't forget, collect how you want to collect. Peace.